or relocation astrology. The last thing I'll say is I will be using a lot of my own life as examples, but a lot of other people, famous people, clients, friends of mine. But I've just, because I've traveled so much, I've been able to look back and forward, looking back before I knew astrology into what lines were happening in places and how I worked with it. And I got a lot of insight and compassion for myself and for other people as I started to see, oh, these were the influences, and this is how I was working with them. But in looking forward, that's where the real empowerment has come, both for myself and the people I work with, to be able to strategize the places that we want to live, we want to travel, we want to work, and really we want to evolve our soul. And so it's such a great tool. And so I'm just going to dive in here to some of the early points here. First of all, most of us aren't living today where we were born. Some of us are, but a lot of us are traveling and relocating. So first of all, just even as people in client, working with clients as astrologers, looking at a relocated chart is actually a really significant thing to do that we should be pulling up whenever we look at a client's chart. Because if we're not looking, if they're not living where they were when they were born, they have this filter of the relocated chart influencing all of their life experiences there. So I often, will pull up relocated charts if I'm just doing a client reading, because that's a lived experience that someone has experienced in that place. So this is really important, that a lot of us aren't living in these places where we grew up, and we are needing to actually look at a natal chart and a relocated chart. Okay, so one of the obvious things is, if we move, for instance, to the opposite coast, maybe we grew up on the West Coast like myself, and we moved to the East Coast or the other way around, we're going to see that we're going to have a very different looking chart in terms of what houses are, for instance, on the angle, which we're going to talk about are very, very significant signs on the cusp. We're going to see that we're going to have different rising signs, different midheaven, and we're going to also take our planets and move them throughout the chart. So if we have a stellium, for instance, if we have 3 or more planets in a house or a sign, we can move, for instance, from a 5th house stellium where, we may have a lot of recreation and play and, children focus, into an 8th house stellium. And now it's going to be all about, death and rebirth cycles and psychological processes. We're going to live our life in a very, very different way. This is one of the reasons why astrolocality is really important, because even the slight changes of time zones, for instance, in the U.S. and North America, will make a huge amount of difference. The other thing to talk about is that, relocated places or charts will show us our power places, which really means the places of potentiating our birth chart. Taking what may not be so strong in, or maybe pregnant with possibility, but then when we move it to an angle, for instance, a planet like the sun, moving it to the top of the chart could mean, instant fame for someone or recognition or success, whereas it could have been sort of dormant in another location or just kind of hidden away. So this is something really important, that we're able to really potentiate ourselves or our clients' lives in the ways that they're seeking. And really important that there's no perfect place. A lot of times clients will come and ask, where's the best place for me? But really, as one of the early points I'm going to make here, we're going to always need to look at what are our goals, and then we're going to look at what places really support that goals through these different techniques.